Ladies and gentlemen, business leaders, representatives of state and federal government agencies, and members of the export councils, good morning. My name is Erdem. I'm the chairman of National NADEC. I'm always going to all habits here. And it's my privilege and pleasure on behalf of National Association of Export Councils to welcome you here today. So why don't we learn some inside secrets from a globally recognized name who is leading the US business operations of global technology powerhouse? I'm delighted to introduce our first keynote speaker today. Please allow me to go over a few of her achievements. She was a vice president at Lockheed Martin Corporation with responsibility for biometrics program, border and transportation security, and critical infrastructure protection, including such critical programs as the FBI's Generation Identification and TSA programs. She served as a vice president at Booz Allen Hamilton with the responsibility of program performance and new business development for technology consulting in the Department of Justice and Department of Homeland Security. Later, she served as a president and CEO of Siemens Government Technologies, a leading integrator of products and services for the federal government agencies and departments. She is the Chief Executive Officer of Siemens USA, where she guides the company's strategy and engagement in serving the company's largest market, the United States. She chairs the Siemens Foundation, serves on the board of directors of Morgan Franklin, the American Heart Association in Greater Washington Region, the Northern Virginia Tech Council. And Fortune magazine last year reported her one of the 10 most powerful women business leaders to watch. Finally, she is also fascinating and inspiring person. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Barbara Humpton.
Thank you, Oz, and thank you all. Wow, what an introduction, right? You have quite a couple of days in store, and you're going to be hearing about such an amazing array of topics. When I thought about this lineup, looking at the variety of things you're going to be focusing on, this is a space where you can talk about cybersecurity, tech and education, finance, healthcare, and it's a space where we need a number of voices. So I'm really pleased that you've invited me to be one of those voices chiming in today. And what I'd like to do in this next few minutes is take a step back and really focus on the larger forces that are impacting global business today. And first of all, let me start by saying we are experiencing the fourth industrial revolution. What we're doing is we're bringing the physical world online. And think about the impact that the internet and digital technology has had in our consumer lives. And now imagine the same level of connectivity coming to our factories and to our cities, to our infrastructure, to our physical world writ large. This fourth industrial revolution knows no geographic boundaries. And our value chains and our use of data in many ways transcend those boundaries. As global companies compete all over the world, every market we serve will face a different set of challenges, different stakeholder expectations, and different national regulations. The fourth industrial revolution is redefining the roles of government and business. And increasingly, citizens are turning to global companies for leadership. And so the question we need to ask ourselves in this new digital world is, in this world that is even more interconnected than ever before, what is the true purpose of business in a global society? Who do we serve? 50 years ago, if you would ask someone what the goals of business were, they might rightly have quoted Milton Friedman, who once put it, "The business of business is business." But today the world expects much more. You might have heard of companies that we refer to as business to business, B2B, or even others that are business to consumer, B2C. But at Siemens, we now see ourselves as a B2S company. We're a business to society company. If you aren't creating value for society, why do you exist? This is the mindset that you have to have when your footprint as a company isn't confined within a single nation's boundaries. When you're integrated into markets across the world, you're made aware of all sorts of challenges and expectations. You also strive to advance the universal interests and values that matter to citizens, from equal opportunity and fair competition to human rights and diversity. What this means is that businesses have a role to play globally when it comes to building confidence and promoting stability, for helping to keep the world together. And that's a responsibility owed not just to our customers and to our partners, but to society as a whole. Now, I want to turn to what we believe a company can deliver, what we can do to make real this promise. And I'll share with you 3 ideas. First, serving society must be central to the core business strategy. Now, at Siemens, a central part of our business to society approach has been creating a business strategy based on the inexorable forces moving world markets and shaping our world. You know, there are global megatrends that encompass everything from globalization, an aging population, urbanization, climate change, and then this thing called digitalization. And what we've done is we've aligned our core competencies in electrification, automation, and digitalization to address markets like manufacturing and smart infrastructure. And we're responding to these megatrends. This is what gets us up every morning, is the idea that we have know-how that the world needs. And if we don't step up and deliver, who will? We found that as we create value for our customers, we also put ourselves at the forefront tackling some of the biggest challenges facing the world today. Electrification brings power to underserved regions and is integral to smart cities. Efficient, clean power generation helps societies meet their sustainability and security goals. Medical technology enables healthcare providers to respond to changing demographics. Automation and digitalization drive productivity and lead to value creation for cities, industries, and utilities. Now, we have an array of new digital tools to drive forward that mission. Augmented intelligence, machine learning, the Internet of Things, edge computing, these technologies that you're going to be focusing on at this conference have already transformed our consumer and personal lives, but now we get to apply that technology across this physical world that we've been busy building for the last 170 plus years at Siemens. And we get to shape that world that we're going to live in the future. So from my perspective, today's increasingly interconnected and digitally capable world is one of opportunity. Which brings us to my second point. Because to prepare for the future, we also have to prepare workers for this rapid change in technology and the opportunities that it presents. One of the myths we hear is that technology like AI will replace the need for humans. Nothing could be further from the truth. From the first time a human picked up a rock and used it as a tool, tools have elevated the role of the human. And the tools we have today are no different than they were back then. The purpose isn't to replace us. Its purpose is to help us expand what is humanly possible. Technology in healthcare can help us diagnose. It can help us treat. It can help us understand. But it takes the human to provide care. Only the human can truly develop the solutions that we'll need for the future. So a company's collective investment in the human strategy, helping people acquire digital skills and leadership, are now as critical as what we invest in research and development and technology. And it's not just PhDs and mathematicians we need, it's machinists and welders and service technicians who learn some programming as well. It's the talent coming out of coding boot camps, apprenticeships, and technical degree programs. And it's not just for the jobs we know today. We're looking for people to fill jobs that have never existed before, and frankly, we can't even yet imagine. So at Siemens, we're looking for people like data scientists and software programmers and Internet of Things architects. We have a role to play in building a culture that supports lifelong learning and commits itself to not leaving anybody behind. Because at this rate of technological change, it's now impossible to learn everything that you'll need to know in an entire career at the beginning of your life. We need to create new avenues for reskilling and upskilling as jobs change. So at Siemens, we've now expanded our U.S. apprenticeship program for advanced manufacturing to 9 states. We're investing $50 million a year in training and education for our own U.S. employees. And we've donated $3 billion worth of hardware and software to secondary and post-secondary schools in hopes that it might inspire young people to think about and then pursue a STEM career. Now, my third idea is fairly straightforward and it directly connects to why we're gathered here today. This idea is that the most effective way for us to positively impact the world is to be as competitive as we can be and to be global. So let me take you back to a day, April 12th, 1870. That was actually a pivotal moment in the history of globalization. That day, a message from England clipped through on a telegraph machine almost 7,000 miles away to India. And what made this possible was a telegraph line that Siemens had helped to build. Think about the significance of that first dispatch. This moment was among the first to mark a new, unprecedented era of intercontinental communication and trade and cultural exchange. The exchange of information, culture, and goods would never be the same. The world grew closer that day. And at Siemens, we were not only proud to have contributed to that moment, this interconnectedness has helped build Siemens into what it is today, a company that works in more than 190 countries and has almost 400,000 employees worldwide. And along the way, the United States business has grown into our largest market. Werner von Siemens landed in the U.S., put business in the U.S. back 160 years ago. And today, there are more than 50,000 employees across all 50 states and territories. Because the United States has a lot to offer for companies that choose to do business here. Think about it. There's proximity to the customers in the world's leading market. There's a strong and skilled workforce and support for workforce development that enables opportunities for university partnerships. There's first-class research and development and reliable infrastructure that can get goods and services to customers around the world, and the rule of law. There are legal frameworks, IP protections, and government policies that promote investment. Commodities that don't depend on early innovation and precision assembly may not need all of these requirements. But if you're a high-tech company wanting to build high-end products and expand to new frontiers, the United States is where you want to be. Today, Siemens USA has annual revenues of more than $23 billion. We did the quick calculation. On today's Fortune 500 list, if the Siemens US was its own company, we'd be number 135-ish on the list. In addition to being a major employer, we also have more than 60 manufacturing, digital, and research and development sites across the country. But most importantly, we are a net exporter to the world, as our US operations export roughly $5 billion annually. And I want to pause a minute and talk about what those exports represent. From our gas turbine plant in Charlotte, we can deliver gas turbines to energy-hungry regions of the world. We can provide service for those turbines from our service operations headquartered in Orlando, Florida. We make trains for Canada in a factory in Sacramento, where 85% of all of the components are US made. We export those same gas turbines to Mexico, but we import the transformers that we need on our power grid here. For just about everything that Siemens makes, we do have a US-based manufacturing capability and $5 billion of exports to the rest of the world. This speaks to the power of an environment where companies can consistently innovate, improve, and stay competitive. We credit a lot of this success to economic cooperation, open markets, to global supply chains that allow for competition, and a free and fair trade where rules are enforced and respected. And we're sitting here at this moment in the midst of a rebalancing of all of those factors. This is vitally important work. The work of this group and the District Export Councils represents, it's important to ensuring that these elements continue to support global commerce, export opportunities, competitive manufacturing, and economic growth. So thank you for sharing your expertise in your local business communities, and thank you for supporting global trade and working to promote this predictability and stability for companies of all sizes and footprints. Because behind the revenue and export numbers is this larger story and this larger impact to society that I've shared with you. There's a much bigger value at stake created by these relationships and supply chains that cross borders. That value is seen in the creation of well-paying jobs and strong local economies. That value is seen in Siemens' supply network, which encompasses more than 20,000 US companies and 6,000 small businesses. And while our direct employment is about 50,000, there are more than 800,000 additional US jobs connected to our global footprint. So we're looking forward. We invest more than $1 billion annually in research and development in the US, and we've invested about $40 billion in the US over the past 15 years as we've acquired companies and built out new capabilities. Those forward-looking plans are made stronger when there's predictability and certainty. Stability helps ensure the future of the supply chain networks and extensive value they create. Just as the business world does not benefit from uncertainty, neither do our customers, our suppliers, or our stakeholders. But when companies stay competitive, they're better equipped to create value for society. They're better positioned to make serving society part of their business strategy and to build the workforce of the future. They're better positioned to be a force for good and a force for global stability in the fourth industrial revolution. Because the business of business isn't just business anymore. It's much bigger than that. And global trade is a big part of what makes it possible for us to succeed in our larger mission. Thank you very much.